In a world where average fades, only the relentless rise. You're stepping into a new standard. Strength, purpose, leadership. This is the Chad Miller Fitness Podcast.
What's up, man? Chad Miller here. I was talking with a client last week. A successful guy, runs a seven-figure business, looks decent on paper, and he said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, Chad, I feel like I'm living at about 60% of what I'm capable of. And that's exactly why I wanted to record this episode today, because if you're listening to this, you're probably not the kind of man who settles easily. But here's the hard truth. Even high-performing men often get caught living a fraction of the life they're truly capable of. And what's worse, they convince themselves they're doing fine. They look around, compare themselves to the average, and they think they're crushing it. But in reality, they're just coasting. So today, I'm going to dismantle 6 specific lies that men over 40 believe, lies that sound completely reasonable on the surface, but are actually invisible anchors keeping you from peak performance in your body, your mindset, and your leadership. And fair warning, some of this might hit close to home, but that's a good thing. That means you needed to hear it. So lie number 1, I don't have time. Let's get this one out of the way first. I can't tell you how many times I've heard successful men tell me, Chad, I just don't have the time to focus on my health, fitness, nutrition, personal growth. Look, I need you to really hear this. Every man who's absolutely crushing life has the exact same 24 hours you do. Elon Musk has 24 hours. The CEO you admire has 24 hours. That guy in your industry who's outperforming everyone has 24 hours. Time isn't your problem, priority is. I've coached men running multi-million-dollar companies with teams across 3 continents, flying between cities every week, raising kids, managing complex family situations, and still making time to train 4 to 5 days a week, eat clean 80% of the time, grow spiritually, and lead from the front. Let me give you a concrete example. One of my clients, let's call him Matt, runs a construction company with over 100 employees. He's got a brutal schedule, constant fires to put out, but what we found out was that he was spending nearly 9 hours a week just scrolling on his phone. Not intentionally, just those little pockets of time between meetings or while he was waiting for something. 9 hours. That's enough time to transform your body, read 3 books, or build an entire additional revenue stream. So the truth is, you don't lack time, you've just stopped making yourself a priority, and until you're honest about that, nothing changes. Lie 2, I'll get serious when things settle down. This is the perpetual waiting game that keeps men stuck for decades. I'll focus on my health after this big project. I'll get back in shape once the kids are a little older. I'll invest in myself when business slows down a little bit. Newsflash, gentlemen, it's not going to settle down, ever. That's how life works. If you're waiting for life to calm down before you start showing up as the man you were built to be, you'll die waiting. I'm not being dramatic, I mean that literally. Here's what I've seen coaching hundreds of high performers. Momentum doesn't come from waiting for the perfect conditions. It comes from action, even imperfect action, in the midst of chaos. Think about it this way. If you're driving a car that's stuck in the mud, do you wait for the mud to dry before you start driving? Of course not. You start applying power, making adjustments, finding traction where you can. So start where you are, the chaos, the stress, the full calendar, and then build it from there. That's where real strength is forged. I had a client who waited 7 years. 7 years for the right time to focus on his health. You know what happened in those 7 years? He gained 43 pounds, his testosterone tanked, he developed sleep apnea, and his marriage nearly fell apart from his constant irritability and lack of energy. Don't be that guy. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Lie number 3, this is just what happens when you get older. This lie makes my blood boil because it's so widely accepted. My metabolism is slowing down. That's just what happens. Can't recover like I used to. Getting older, you know. This dad bod, it's just part of the package after 40. Yeah, father time eventually wins, but you can pick a fight with him every single day. Decline is not a requirement of aging, it's a choice, reinforced by weak decisions, low standards, and lazy narratives. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, certain biological realities exist. Testosterone naturally dips. Recovery does take a little bit longer, but the degree to which these factors impact you is largely within your control. I work with men in their 40s, 50s, and even 60s who are walking around leaner, stronger, sharper, and more dangerous than they were at 30. And I'm not talking about genetic freaks or guys on pharmaceutical assistance. I'm talking about regular men who simply refuse to accept the narrative of inevitable decline. What's their secret? They've optimized their nutrition for hormonal health. They train intelligently rather than just hard. They prioritize sleep quality. They manage stress. They've eliminated inflammatory foods. And they stay mentally engaged and challenged. The science is clear on this. Most of what we attribute to aging is actually disuse and poor lifestyle choices compounded over time. So next time you catch yourself saying this is just what happens, I want you to recognize that for what it is, a convenient excuse to lower your standards and expectations. Lie number 4, I'm still doing better than most. This is the comparison trap dressed in ego, and it's dangerous because it feels like a positive thought. I'm in better shape than most guys my age. My business is outperforming industry averages. My marriage is healthier than most of my friends. Sure, you might be doing better than most men, but what if most men are losing? The average American man is overweight, in debt, disengaged, and disconnected. Is that really the benchmark you want to use? Why are you measuring yourself against a broken average? The real question, the only question that matters is, are you doing better than you were last month? Are you closing the gap between where you are and what you're truly capable of? That's the only scoreboard that matters. I've seen this play out hundreds of times. A man comes to me, objectively successful by societal standards, good income, decent shape, functional relationship, but there's a gnawing emptiness because deep down, he knows he's playing small. He knows he's capable of more, physically, mentally, financially, spiritually. And that gap between your current reality and your potential, that gap will haunt you until you address it. So stop comparing yourself to most guys and start competing with the best version of yourself. Lie number 5, my family comes first, so I don't have time for myself. This one hits close to home for a lot of good men. It sounds noble, selfless, admirable, but it's actually one of the most dangerous lies that good men tell themselves. Let me be clear on something. Self-neglect is not sacrifice. If you're running on fumes, overweight, disconnected, and drained, you're not leading your family. You're just surviving beside them. Think about it from your family's perspective for a second. Do they want the exhausted, irritable, checked-out version of you? Or do they deserve the energized, strong, present, and purposeful version of you? The strongest version of you is the best gift you can give them. I see this with fathers all the time. They'll say, I can't take time to work out because I need to be with my kids. But then they're too tired to actually engage with their kids. They're sitting on the couch, scrolling through their phone while spending time with their family. One of my clients had this exact realization. He was skipping workouts to be home more, but his wife finally told him, I'd rather have you gone for an hour and come back as the man I married than have you physically present but mentally absent all evening. Remember, your kids aren't learning from what you say. They're learning from what you do. What are you modeling for them about self-respect, discipline, and pursuing excellence? Lie number 6, I can fix it on my own. This final lie is deeply embedded in a man's psychology. We're taught from an early age to be self-reliant. Figure it out. Don't ask for help. And there's value in developing that kind of resourcefulness, but I'll tell you as it is, you're not meant to do this alone. Every elite performer in any field has coaches, mentors, and peers who push them beyond their self-imposed limitations. Think about it. Tom Brady, arguably one of the best quarterbacks of all time, still had multiple coaches well into his 40s. Billionaire CEOs have executive coaches and masterminds. Navy SEALs, they train in teams. So what makes you think you're the exception? You need coaching, you need brotherhood, you need real accountability, not from somebody who's going to let you off the hook, but from someone who cares enough to hold you to your highest standard. The elite don't go it alone. They stack the deck in their favor. I've seen it countless times. A man will struggle for years trying to solve the same problems, making incremental progress at best. Then he finally invests in the right guidance and community, and suddenly he's making more progress in months than he made in years on his own. So stop pretending you're the exception. Get help, get clarity, get momentum. So here's what I want you to do. Take a hard look at your life right now. Audit your beliefs. Which one of these 6 lies have you bought into? Whether it's subtly, silently, or maybe even unconsciously. 1, I don't have time. 2, I'll get serious when things settle down. 3, this is just what happens when you get older. 4, I'm still doing better than most. 5, my family comes first, so I don't have time for myself. 6, I can fix it on my own. Be brutally honest with yourself. Write them down if you need to, and then decide, are you ready to replace those lies with action? Because the men I work with just don't want another plan or program. They want transformation. And transformation starts with truth, sometimes an uncomfortable truth. If that's you, if you're ready to stop settling and start living at your full capacity, you know where to find me. My coaching is confidential, NDA backed, and focused on elite results only. This isn't about perfection, it's about progression. It's about waking up every day and choosing to be 1% better than you were yesterday. That's all I have for you. Until next time, refuse mediocrity, pursue greatness. This is Chad Miller. Thanks for listening.
You just listened to the Chad Miller Fitness Podcast, where men rise with discipline, clarity, and action.